We need to be better listeners and then to be able to react to what we hear and respond to their needs. And that's helped us create an atmosphere, I think, that's pro-investment for our business community, but also for our citizens as well.
"40 Years of the Business Journal" is sponsored by Compco and these participating sponsors.
40 years ago, I was actually working full-time as an employee for General Motors. Had my first child 40 years ago. Time flies, but yeah, so it was before actually I got in public service. I was actually doing some work as a I guess it wasn't, I was first elected to the precinct committee seat prior to being elected to city council. So I was doing precinct committee work, working full time at General Motors and starting a family. I think we all had a feeling that that plant would be there way longer than it actually existed. We had a feeling that it was a secure place of employment for the whole valley. It had all of the attributes for longevity, including the Ohio Turnpike and the Interstate 80. Its location was excellent. It was a new plant in the big scheme of things, and we always were receiving new products to build. So yes, it seemed like it would never end. I do remember distinctly because I had just gotten married and I had gotten transferred to the van plant, and there was no warning, and I found out on my way to work listening to the radio that the van plant was closing. So that sort of began the idea that you never know what could happen in this industry. I believe it was a calling that was always inside of me and part of my DNA. Being raised in the being born in the late 50s, early 60s, having lived through the civil rights movement as a young child, remembering that movement and the leaders of that movement, whether it be Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, Medgar Evers, seeing that up close and personal. Being the youngest in my family, I sort of honed in on the news when that was happening. I think that was the beginning of just a passion for social justice, public service, and serving others. I do remember, when first moving to City Hall, there was a series of events that sort of devastated our operating budget. First and foremost, the bankruptcy of Packard Delphi, where we received approximately $2.3 million annually in revenue. When we took over, that it dwindled down after the buyouts and everything, that it dwindled down to a little over $40,000 a year. So that was a big gap that we had to manage. Then you add to that, years later, the closure of the Ohio Lamp General Electric plant and the WCI steel mill bankruptcy. All of those things sort of cascaded into some financial challenges for the city. Probably the biggest accomplishments aren't anything that's pretty noteworthy or sexy, but it's actually stabilizing the finances of the city. I think that's critical for local government because you can't deliver services. So just overcoming those devastating manufacturing job losses was pivotal if you look at where we are today. And we're probably in the best financial position that we've been in since I've been in public service. But we've done that by several methods. We obviously had to cut our spending tremendously and to do a better job of attracting businesses and new jobs. an investment in the city. So one of the things a few of the things we had to do, we got out of the jail business, and we partnered with the county in that. We also got out of the 911 services, and we merged those services with Trimble County, which saves us even to this day, and that compounds hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So that's critical. We also restructured the management at Packard Music Hall, and also got a new manager at our golf course. Those were some of the things. And we were able to be successful at the negotiation table with our unions to manage not only concessions but pay freezes, and to sort of restructure some of our health care costs. I think when you look at over the 40-year period, we used to be a city with 68,000 residents. We are right now close to around 40,000, and I'm using round numbers. So that caused in and of itself a lot of other challenges with housing stock, vacant houses, and the like. So that was sort of devastating on a lot of things. But even when we lost those jobs and that money, it didn't shrink the number of roads we have to plow and maintain. It didn't shrink our parks. So it didn't really cut our challenges. It increased them because we were doing it with less. Obviously, we have to continue to build upon some of the accomplishments that we've been able to enjoy. And that lies in the field or the space of economic development. Working with our partners, the Regional Chamber, the Port Authority, to create these special joint economic development districts, which allows us to use our assets to help incentivize job creation. And we're doing that as we speak with Howland Township and Warren Township with the Kimberly Clark Project. We've been fortunate to enjoy a lot of investment in our downtown and our central business district with new hotels, restaurants. We're working on some projects right now that should even enhance that and build on that momentum. But those are record changes in terms of the number of businesses that are downtown, particularly on and around the square. There was a time when there was probably, I would say, 30% of those spaces vacant. They're now we have some living residents down there, and all of the storefronts are pretty much full. I'm very encouraged about what I see in the community in the coming years. Like most urban communities, we have some challenges, but if you look at the amount of investment, and I have to include Foxconn and Ultium Cells, the energy plant, and the local investment, particularly the Warren West Improvement Corporation, for their $100 million. So I'm shortchanging them. The $100 million investment on the west side of Warren, which hasn't seen that kind of investment since Warren West Reserve High School was built in an area that was been historically disinvested in. So that all of that encourages me. We know that there's going to be a need for housing. There'll be a need for more restaurants, workspace, and we think we're very well poised to fulfill that need. We've timed it. We're only 10 minutes from Foxconn and Ultium Cells when you hit the hot dog shop, basically. So our geography is perfect. And we have to be cognizant of the new residents in our area. Obviously, they want places where they can live, work, and play that are safe and that meet their needs. Nothing against Lordstown, but a lot of these cultures are used to coming from environments where everything that they need is right there, and it's just a great marketplace and a living space that they're accustomed to. I'm extremely optimistic. I have to be. I believe in the citizens of Warren. I know that they're our greatest asset. But we have a business community that often gets overlooked and underappreciated. We deliberately wanted to change that and be business friendly, to be able to respond not only to our citizens, but to the business community as well, real quick whenever they had a problem or an issue that we could help with. And I think, I started my term off by trying to meet with all business owners in the city to listen to them. So it was sort of a listening tour. And that was one of the things that came out of that process, was that we need to be better listeners and then to be able to react to what we hear and respond to their needs. And that's helped us create an atmosphere, I think, that's pro-investment for our business community, but also for our citizens as well.
"40 Years of the Business Journal" is sponsored by Comco and these participating sponsors.